Excuse me.
Silence hit the set the first time Superman flew. No applause, just stunned faces and two battle-hardened techs wiping tears. For a second, wires, rigs, and doubt vanished. It felt real. That moment didn't just change a shot, it changed a genre. Ready to uncover 20 strange, overlooked truths about Superman, 1978. Let's dive where myths and messy realities collide today.
God, look up there. Easy, miss.
Fact 1. The too skinny kid who beat the A-listers. Before Christopher Reeve ever wore the cape, Superman, 1978, was meant to star a Hollywood heavyweight. Producers chased names like Robert Redford, Paul Newman, and Burt Reynolds, each turning it down for fame, image, or fear of being stuck as a comic book hero. After more than 200 auditions, in walked a lanky, unknown theater actor from Juilliard. Too tall, too skinny, they said. But once Reeve read the lines, the room shifted. His calm sincerity, quiet humor, and natural warmth gave Superman something the big stars couldn't: believability. Richard Donner saw it instantly. This wasn't a celebrity pretending to be a hero. This was Clark Kent becoming one. That decision didn't just define a movie, it set the gold standard for superhero casting forever. But that transformation, the body, the strength, had to be built from scratch. Fact 2. Trained by Darth Vader. Once Christopher Reeve landed the role, there was one big problem. He didn't look like Superman yet. Standing 6'4" but barely 185 pounds, Reeve needed to gain serious muscle fast. The studio hired none other than David Prowse, the British bodybuilder who physically played Darth Vader in Star Wars, to transform him. For 6 relentless weeks, Prowse drilled Reeve in strength, posture, and heroic presence. The workouts were brutal, but the results were undeniable. Reeve added over 25 pounds of pure muscle and sculpted the unmistakable Superman silhouette. Prowse later said Reeve had the discipline of an athlete and the heart of a hero. When cameras rolled, that transformation wasn't just physical, it was symbolic. Viewers didn't see a man pretending to be Superman, they believed it. But the real magic would come when that new body finally took flight. Fact 3. The day the crew cried. For months, the team behind Superman, 1978, battled to make audiences truly believe a man could fly. Early tests looked clumsy, wires visible, motion stiff, illusions shattered. Then came Zoran Perisic, a visionary optical expert with his invention, the Zoptics system, using synchronized zoom lenses that made Superman appear to soar naturally through the skies. When the setup finally worked, the set fell silent. Christopher Reeve floated in front of the camera, perfectly lit, perfectly still, flying. Crew members who had spent sleepless nights chasing the impossible suddenly broke into tears. Director Richard Donner said it was the moment everyone realized they'd captured real magic on film. They didn't just create an effect, they created belief. But that breakthrough was only the start. The team would soon push flight realism even further, inventing multiple ways to make Superman defy gravity. Fact 4. 3 ways a man can fly. Making Superman fly convincingly in 1978 wasn't about one trick. It took 3. The first method used wire rigs for takeoffs and landings, with Reeve suspended up to 50 feet high. The second used blue screen shots, letting filmmakers replace the background later so he could fly through cities. But the true game changer was Zoptic projection, an ingenious system syncing camera and projector zooms to create smooth forward motion. Combined, these techniques sold the illusion of effortless flight long before CGI existed. Each shot required precision timing and endless adjustments, but Reeve's natural grace made it look real. Director Richard Donner famously said, "It's not Superman flying, it's Reeve." The result? A generation of viewers who genuinely believed a man could fly. But the illusion alone wasn't enough. Marketing needed the perfect phrase to make everyone believe before even seeing it. Fact 5. The tagline that sold the miracle. Before Superman, 1978, even hit theaters, its marketing had one bold promise: you'll believe a man can fly. 4 simple words that would define not just a movie, but an era. The slogan came from advertising executive Steve Frankfurt, who wanted something emotional, not technical. A phrase that captured the dream behind the film. It worked. The line appeared on posters, trailers, and TV spots, instantly hooking audiences. By the time viewers saw Christopher Reeve take off for the first time, they didn't just watch, they believed. It wasn't hype, It was a statement of confidence from a team that had actually achieved the impossible. That tagline turned curiosity into legend, cementing Superman as the blueprint for every superhero film that followed. But creating that otherworldly magic wasn't only about words, it was also built into the glowing costumes of Krypton itself. Fact 6. Krypton's untouchable glow. The world of Krypton in Superman 1978 shimmered with an alien brilliance, and it wasn't CGI. Costume designer Yvonne Blake crafted the Kryptonian outfits using a special material coated with microscopic glass beads, the same used on movie screens to reflect light. Under studio lamps, they glowed like living starlight. But there was a catch. The surface was so delicate that even a fingerprint could dull the shine. Crew members were required to handle every piece wearing white cotton gloves, and the lighting team spent hours adjusting angles to maintain the ethereal glow. The result was mesmerizing. Actors looked as if they were wrapped in energy itself. That fragile radiance gave Krypton its unforgettable, dreamlike atmosphere. But while the costumes captured celestial beauty, one star on set was about to bring a very different kind of drama and a record-breaking paycheck. Fact 7. Brando's $1 Million Minutes. Marlon Brando's appearance as Jor-El in Superman 1978 became one of Hollywood's most expensive cameos. He earned around $3.7 million, plus nearly 12% of the film's profits, for less than 2 weeks of filming. His scenes were brief but unforgettable, glowing in that crystalline Kryptonian world. Yet behind the camera, Brando's behavior caused friction. He refused to memorize lines, reading them off cue cards, or in one infamous moment, from the diaper of the baby playing Kal-El. Christopher Reeve later admitted he admired Brando's talent, but was disappointed by his lack of commitment. Still, his calm, commanding voice gave Superman's origin the gravitas it needed. Brando may have frustrated the crew, but his presence set a tone of mythic grandeur from the first frame. And just as tensions rose, one hilarious on-set prank would suddenly break the ice between stars and director. Fact 8. The mustache trick. Gene Hackman, cast as the brilliant villain Lex Luthor, showed up on set with his trademark mustache and refused to shave it. Director Richard Donner, wanting the clean look from the comics, faced a standoff. So he made a deal. If you shave yours, I'll shave mine. Hackman agreed, heading off to the makeup chair. When he returned, Donner smiled and dramatically peeled off his own fake mustache. The crew burst out laughing, and even Hackman couldn't help but join in. The prank not only broke the tension, but also forged trust between actor and director. Hackman delivered a cunning, witty performance that became the blueprint for future movie villains. That moment of laughter united the team. But chaos returned soon after, when the original script for Superman ballooned into an outrageous 500-page draft from the author of The Godfather. Fact 9. The Godfather's 500-page script, before Superman 1978 became a streamlined classic, it nearly collapsed under the weight of its own script. Producers hired Mario Puzo, the legendary author of The Godfather, hoping his storytelling genius would elevate the film. Instead, he delivered a massive 500-page screenplay, covering 2 entire movies and packed with wild, sometimes bizarre ideas. One infamous scene had Superman searching Metropolis for Lex Luthor by spotting bald heads, then stopping for a lollipop. When director Richard Donner read it, he said it felt like parody. Determined to save the film, he brought in writer Tom Mankiewicz to rewrite and restore Superman's dignity. Most of Puzo's material was cut, but his sense of epic scale remained. The story was finely balanced, but behind the camera, production itself was spinning out of control as 2 massive films started shooting at the same time. Fact 10. 2 films, 1 chaotic shoot. When Superman 1978 began filming, producers decided to shoot both the first movie and its sequel simultaneously to save time and money. On paper, it seemed brilliant. In reality, it was a nightmare. What was planned as a 7-month schedule stretched into 19 grueling months of non-stop work. Cast and crew bounced between scenes from 2 different films, often unsure which story they were shooting. Christopher Reeve and Richard Donner endured exhaustion, pressure, and constant studio interference. In the middle of production, tensions exploded. Donner was fired before finishing Superman the 2, replaced by director Richard Lester. The shift changed tone, pacing, and even entire scenes. Yet through chaos and exhaustion, the first film emerged a masterpiece. But even its spectacular ending wasn't originally meant for that movie. It was borrowed from Superman 2 in one of cinema's boldest last-minute decisions. Fact 11. The ending that wasn't meant to be. The jaw-dropping finale of Superman 1978, where the hero flies around the Earth to reverse time, was never meant for that movie. Director Richard Donner and writer Tom Mankiewicz originally planned the sequence as the ending of Superman Tokyo. But as production dragged on and studio executives demanded a more spectacular spectacular conclusion for the first film, Donner made a daring choice. He moved the time reversal scene forward. The result gave Superman a mythic, emotional climax that audiences still debate today. Some fans argue it breaks logic. Others say it perfectly captures Superman's humanity and desperation. Either way, it turned what could have been a cliffhanger into one of cinema's most iconic endings. But before that breathtaking scene was even filmed, the production had already survived a disaster in Italy that nearly grounded Superman before he ever took off. Fact 12. The Italian disaster. Before Superman, 1978, found its wings in England, it nearly crashed in Italy. The film's pre-production began at Cinecittà Studios in Rome, with ambitious plans for groundbreaking flight tests. But everything went wrong. The effects repeatedly failed. Wires snapped, rigs malfunctioned, and costs spiraled out of control, burning through nearly $2 million before a single usable shot. To make matters worse, Marlon Brando was legally barred from filming in Italy due to issues linked to Last Tango in Paris. With chaos mounting, producers had no choice but to move the entire production to Pinewood Studios in England. Sets were rebuilt, schedules rewritten, and the team started from scratch. That massive relocation nearly broke the budget, but it also saved the movie. Once settled in England, the focus shifted back to story and performance, especially the electric chemistry between Superman and Lois Lane. Fact 13. The chemistry that saved the story. The heart of Superman, 1978, isn't the flying or the fights. It's the connection between Clark Kent and Lois Lane. More than 100 actresses auditioned before Margot Kidder won the role, thanks to her sharp wit and fearless energy. When paired with Christopher Reeve, the chemistry was instant. Reeve modeled Clark's charm after Cary Grant, awkward yet endearing, while Kidder brought toughness and curiosity that made Lois feel real. Their dynamic turned simple scenes, like interviews or playful banter, into unforgettable moments of warmth and humor. Donner encouraged them to improvise, letting that natural spark shine. The result was emotional balance. Superman might have been a god among men, but Lois made him human. That relationship grounded the movie. But another young actor's experience on set revealed just how much control Donner demanded over every detail. Fact 14. The voice that wasn't his. Actor Jeff East played the teenage Clark Kent in Superman, 1978, the humble farm boy discovering his powers. He spent hours in makeup and wigs to resemble Christopher Reeve as closely as possible. But after filming wrapped, East discovered a surprise. His entire performance had been dubbed over by Reeve's voice in post-production. Director Richard Donner wanted seamless continuity between young Clark and the adult Superman, believing a consistent tone would keep audiences emotionally connected. East was never told in advance, and though he admired Reeve's work, he later admitted feeling blindsided by the change. Still, yes, his portrayal remains crucial, capturing Clark's innocence, pain, and the loneliness of being extraordinary in an ordinary world. Meanwhile, another casting crisis was brewing behind the scenes, one that forced Donner to recast a key newsroom role at the very last minute. Fact 15. The last-minute Perry White. The role of Perry White, the gruff yet lovable editor of the Daily Planet, almost never went to Jackie Cooper. Originally, actor Keenan Wynn had been cast, but just before filming began in London, he suffered a sudden heart attack and had to withdraw. With cameras set to roll and no time to delay, director Richard Donner and writer Tom Mankiewicz started frantically calling every actor they could reach. Cooper answered the phone, accepted immediately, and was on a plane within hours. His natural authority and quick humor fit the newsroom energy perfectly, making it hard to imagine anyone else in the role today. Sometimes, movie magic happens not through planning, but sheer luck. And speaking of perfect timing, another major creative change would come next, when the film's entire sound and tone hinged on a last-minute composer swap. Fact 16. The composer swap that made history. At first, director Richard Donner planned to reunite with Jerry Goldsmith, who had scored The Omen, to compose the music for Superman, 1978. But scheduling conflicts forced Goldsmith to drop out, opening the door for John Williams, fresh off his Oscar win for Star Wars. The result was legendary. Williams created a triumphant march that instantly defined the hero, along with sweeping themes for Smallville and the romance with Lois. When Donner heard it for the first time, he hugged Williams and said, "You've given Superman his soul." That bold, brassy melody didn't just accompany the action, it became Superman's heartbeat. Decades later, those opening notes still send chills down spines. But the film's magic wasn't only in its sound. The audience's reaction would soon prove that all the risks, chaos, and exhaustion had paid off in full. Fact 17. The box office miracle. When Superman, 1978, finally soared into theaters, few expected what came next. The film earned over $300 million worldwide, an astonishing figure for the late 70s, and became Warner Brothers' highest-grossing movie at the time. Audiences were captivated by its mix of realism, wonder, and emotion. Critics praised Christopher Reeve's charm and Richard Donner's sincerity, proving that a comic book story could deliver both spectacle and heart. The movie's success also changed Hollywood's perception of superheroes. From cheap Saturday serials to billion-dollar franchises, merchandising exploded, sequels were greenlit, and the phrase, "You'll believe a man can fly," became part of pop culture history. But the movie's structure wasn't random. It was deliberately crafted like three distinct journeys, each showing a different stage of Superman's life and shaping him into the symbol of hope we still recognize today. Fact 18. 3 worlds, 1 hero. Director Richard Donner structured Superman, 1978, like an epic in 3 acts, each representing a different world and phase of Clark Kent's life. First came Krypton, a cold, luminous realm of destiny and loss, where Jor-El sends his son to survive. Then Smallville, the quiet heartland where Clark learns compassion, restraint, and the pain of being different. Finally, Metropolis, the bustling city where he embraces his dual identity, mild-mannered reporter by day, savior by night. Each section uses its own color palette, pacing, and tone, making the film feel like 3 connected stories rather than one long origin. This structure gave emotional depth to what could have been pure fantasy, grounding Superman's cosmic power in humanity. But while the structure was intentional, not every behind-the-scenes story was so clear. Some rumors from production still spark debate to this day. Fact 19. The great casting rumor. Among Superman's many legends, one persistent rumor still fascinates fans, that Marlon Brando personally vetoed Sylvester Stallone as a potential Superman. After Rocky's success, Stallone's name reportedly circulated among producers, but, according to Hollywood gossip, Brando opposed the idea, claiming it would distract from the story. There's no official record proving the rumor, and both actors remained silent about it publicly. Still, the story spread through fan circles and interviews over the years, becoming part of Superman's mythology. Whether true or not, it reflects how much creative tension surrounded the film's casting choices. In the end, fate chose Christopher Reeve, a decision that turned speculation into cinematic destiny. But even decades later, Superman, 1978, keeps revealing surprises, like rare, unseen footage of flying scenes that didn't make it into the original theatrical release. Fact 20. The lost flights. Over the years, fans discovered that Superman, 1978, had even more flying footage than what appeared in theaters. During production, Richard Donner's team filmed multiple test flights and alternate takes, using the experimental Zoptic system. Some shots were cut due to technical imperfections or pacing, while others simply didn't fit the final edit. Decades later, a few of these lost sequences resurfaced in documentaries and special editions, showing Christopher Reeve performing stunts and camera angles never seen before. The raw footage captures the awe of a crew experimenting with technology no one had mastered yet. Even the unused takes look breathtaking today, proof of how far the filmmakers pushed practical effects. And with that, every hidden detail reminds us why Superman, 1978, still feels timeless, a film where belief, innovation, and heart made the impossible truly fly. More than 4 decades later, Superman, 1978, still soars because it wasn't just about power, it was about belief. Behind every flight wire, prank, and challenge stood a team chasing the impossible. Christopher Reeve didn't just play Superman, he became him. And that's why, even today, we still look up and believe a man can fly.